Without objection, the gentleman from New York is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, it's an old photograph, tattered and torn. Its color is sepia, indicating that it is over 90 years old, and it hung on the wall in my mom's apartment. She would point it out to me when I was a little boy and say, "This was your grandmother, who you never knew." It's a picture of their wedding. And the little children who sat in front of this wedding portrait, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, a lot of little kids, and she said, pointing to one of them, "This is my Aunt Rachel." And to another, she said, "This is my Uncle Joseph." I was tiny. I didn't understand. I said, "Mom, how can that be your aunt and uncle? They're only children." And she said, "They will always be children." I didn't understand quite what she was getting at until I was quite a bit older. When World War II broke out, there were 1.6 million Jewish children throughout Europe. At the end of the Holocaust, that number became under 100,000. The Jewish people were almost eradicated from the face of the earth by the people of the National Socialist Party of Germany, the Nazis, who were intent on wiping the Jews from the face of the earth, claiming they had no right to live, no right to exist in their country or any place else, and set out on a program. They were nearly successful. Nobody came to the aid of the Jewish people. People were put in gas chambers, their bodies burnt in ovens by the millions throughout the world. Nobody came to their aid. Nobody cared. The annihilation of an entire people by people who were pure evil. It wasn't until the end of the war when the Jewish people and others who were in these concentration camps saw their first Americans and America's allies when they were liberated from those camps, alive because of happenstance and circumstance. Our good friend Tom Lantos and his wife Annette, distinguished moral force in our Congress, who's alive today along with his wife as the beneficiary of a noble act of Christian charity by somebody who was a stranger. The luck of the draw. The Jewish people weren't even organized enough to fight. They weren't fighters. They didn't know any better. They had no country. They were scattered. And the world looked at them at the end of the war and said, "We have to do something about this." And they took the area of Transjordan and they divided and created the country of Jordan and the country of Israel, a Jewish state, so that Jews would have a place to be where they could live safely within secure. And I know many things have happened and part of those borders are disputed today, but that's beside the point. Suddenly, in this very day and age, what seems to be eons from the Nazis and that era, another people rise up and make claim to the world out loud, clearly and unambiguously, that the Jewish people have no right to be anywhere, that they will wipe them from the region, kill them, eradicate them, and drive them from the planet, no different than the Nazis. Now, those of my friends with such good intentions, and there are some here, I've spoken to them and I've listened to them, who talk about proportionality, who talk about treating everybody equal, who talk about measured response, who talk about a ceasefire and going back to the status quo. They're well-intentioned, but I want them to look me in the eye and tell me what a proportional response means. How do you negotiate with somebody whose goal is your eradication? Take half my family? Kill every other one of us? What is there to negotiate? Do we tell the victim of a violent crime that they have no right to fight back as forcefully as they can? Do we tell the rape victim that she has no right to fight with all her strength against the accused rapist? Nonsense. We don't tell that to any other country. And there's only one Jewish state on the planet. Don't tell that to Israel. People of the Jewish faith and everybody else living in Israel has a right to exist. The same right as anybody else. And they have that right to respond. How can you deny that? Thank God Israel doesn't stand alone anymore. It has one good friend in this whole world, and that's this United States. And we are so thankful for that. I'm very pleased with this resolution. It does have the right balance. Innocent people die in wars. Not every German was a Nazi. And yet we had to fight them because they represented the Nazis. They put them in power. They elected them in a democratic election. Elections have consequences. Just because you participate in an electoral process doesn't absolve you of your crimes or your sins, especially if you rededicate yourself to them. That's what we're facing right now.
Gentlemen,
I urge your serious consideration of this resolution and all that it implies. Justice demands no less. Thank you.